yung Bitwise Operator. Tapos, pagkatapos natin yan, papracticein natin through making a code. No? Magko-code tayo. Right. So, share ko lang yung aking screen. Nakita nyo na ba yung aking mga i-share na project doon sa inyong GC? Ayan. Pwede nyo maging reference dyan doon sa inyong mga gagawing project. Okay. Right. So, pakinggan natin si Kuya. 4 na to, sunod-sunod 4 na video. All about operators, Bitwise Operator.
In this lecture, we're going to talk about Bitwise Operators in C. This is part 1 of the Bitwise Operators. What is the outline of this lecture? Here we are going to introduce the concept of Bitwise Operators. What are Bitwise Operators? Then we are going to talk about Bitwise OR and NOT operators. Then we will have a discussion about the difference between Bitwise and logical operators, as this is one of the most confusing topics of all time. Let's try to understand what are Bitwise operators. As name suggests, it does bitwise manipulation. Now, what is the meaning of bitwise manipulation? We will talk about this concept later in this lecture. Right now, we will focus on different types of bitwise operators available in C language. The first bitwise operator in this list is bitwise AND operator. Second operator is bitwise OR operator. Third operator in this list is bitwise NOT operator. Then we have a left shift operator. Then we have a right shift operator, and finally we have Bitwise Xor Operator. Now let's try to understand what is Bitwise AND Operator. It takes 2 bits at a time and perform AND operation. AND is a binary operator. First of all, please note that.
Wait. So, habang inano nyo yan, hanapin nyo rin, since naka-online naman kayo, no? Yung ating binary to converter, kasi para magets nyo yung ano nya, no? So magko-convert kayo para makita nyo kung saan yung application ng ano, no, nung bit. Ayan. So kailangan magagamit nyo to as you go along, no? So as you listen, no, dapat nakalagay to para makikita nyo yung computation, no? Ayan.
On this point, it is a binary operator, which means it requires 2 operands. It takes 2 numbers and perform bitwise AND. Result of AND is 1 when both bits are 1. And this is also one important point to note. We know this thing already, that the result of AND is 1 when both bits are 1. Let's take one example in which we would be able to understand how bitwise AND operator takes 2 numbers and perform AND operation bit by bit. Here suppose we have 2 numbers 7 and 4. This is the binary representation of 7 and this is the binary representation of 4. What bitwise AND operator will do is that it takes 2 bits at a time and perform AND operation. 1 and 0 is 0, 1 and 0 is 0, 1 and 1 is 1, 0 and 0 is 0. We know this thing result of AND is 1 when both bits are 1. When both bits are 1, then the result is 1. For the sake of reference, here is the truth table for the AND operation. Only when both bits are 1, then the result is 1, otherwise the result is simply 0. As you can see in this example as well. Therefore, final result is 0100, which is equivalent to 4 in decimal. Therefore, we can say that 7 bitwise AND with 4 is equals to 4. Right? Okay. Let's try to understand the concept of bitwise OR operator as well. It takes 2 bits at a time and perform OR operation. OR is a binary operator. It takes 2 numbers and perform bitwise OR. Let's consider one example. Here in this example, what bitwise OR operator will do? Result of OR is 0 when both bits are 0. Therefore, when both bits are 0, then only the result is 0. Otherwise, the result is 1. Here is the truth table available for the OR operator for the sake of reference. 0111 is equivalent to 7 in decimal. Therefore, the final result of bitwise OR operator between 7 and 4 is equals to 7. Okay? Now let's try to understand the concept of bitwise NOT operator. NOT is a unary operator. That means it requires just one operand. Its job is to complement each bit one by one. As it takes only one operand, therefore, its job is to complement each bit of that number one by one. Result of NOT is 0 when bit is 1 and 1 when bit is 0. Simple. Complement means that 1 becomes 0 and 0 becomes 1. Now let's consider one example of bitwise NOT operator. Here in this example, I am going to apply bitwise NOT operator on this number. Binary representation of this number is 0, 1, 1, 1. 1 becomes 0, this one becomes 0, this one also becomes 0, and finally this 0 becomes 1, according to the NOT operation. Therefore, the final output is 1000, which is equivalent to 8 in decimal. NOT of 7 is therefore equals to 8. Now let's try to consider the difference between bitwise and logical operators in general. I am going to provide you one example which is enough to understand the difference between bitwise and logical operators. In this example, we will talk about the difference between bitwise AND operator and logical AND operator, and the same concept is applicable to the other operators as well. Here I have declared two variables x and y and assigned them value 1 and 2 respectively. Binary representation of 1 is 00000001 in 8 bits form. Because the data type is character and it can store up to 8 bits of information, therefore 1 is represented in 8 bits form like this. Similarly, 2 is represented as 00000010. Here I have provided two if constructs. This printf function belongs to this if construct and this printf function belongs to this if construct. When the condition inside this if construct satisfies, then this printf function will be called, and when the condition inside this if construct gets satisfied, then this printf function will be called. Now please don't bother about the curly braces. When we write single statement immediately after the if construct, then that statement will automatically be a part of that if construct only. Therefore, this printf function is part of this if construct and this printf function is part of this if construct. There is no need to put curly braces here and here. Now let's try to understand the difference between this bitwise AND operator and logical AND operator. When we perform bitwise AND between these two numbers, that is 1 and 2, what would be the result? 1 bitwise AND 2 is equals to 0. Isn't that so? 0 simply means false, which simply means that the condition inside this if construct is not satisfied, therefore this printf function will not get evaluated. On the other hand, here I have provided a logical AND operator. Now what is the result of this logical AND operation? 1 is treated as true and 2 is also treated as true, as value other than 0 is treated as a true value. We know this thing already, that true and true is equals to true, which is equals to 1. Therefore condition inside this if construct will get satisfied, and therefore this printf function will be called, and the final output is result of x logical and y is 1. Right? Now this is not very difficult to understand the difference between bitwise AND operator and logical AND operator. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.
Okay, that's part 1.
Explain nga yung nangyari.
In this lecture, we're going to talk about bitwise operators in C. This is part 1 of the
Anong nangyari? Anong portion?
Yung doon po sa bitwise and tsaka logical and.
Yung dulo.
Opo.
Okay. Teka,
Ano yung nangyari doon?
pasadahan ko na lang lahat, no? Okay. So ito yung ating bitwise operator, no? Alright. Ayan. So, meron tayong and, or, not.
Now let's try to understand what is bitwise.
Teka. Left shift, tsaka right shift, tsaka XOR. Okay, let's start with the AND operator. Pakita natin yung ating truth. Ayan. Okay. So, ito, madali lang ito, no? So, ano nga yung process para maging sa end, no? Yung sa end kasi, lagi natin tatandaan, para maging truth, dun sa dalawang condition, okay, para maging truth, remember, yung true, anong value niya? 1. 1. So, pagka false, 0, no? So, ito yung truth table, nakikita nyo. So, yung ating binary representation ng 7, no? I-type natin, no? Para makita nyo yung purpose ng ano. So, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Ito yung ating 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Convert. Okay, so makikita nyo dyan doon sa baba yung decimal. Ayan. So, it is 7. No? Okay. Yung 4 is 0, 1, 0, 4. Now, i-compute nyo ngayon yan, no? So, titingnan nyo, base doon sa end na natin, na process, na ang condition, both items dito sa ating binary has to be both true, no? So, 1 siya at saka 0. Bakit 0 dito? Kasi hindi sila parehong true, no? I'm talking about the values, no? So, and then 1 at saka 0, hindi rin siya true kasi they're both different no? So, 0. 1 and 1, bakit siya naging 1? Because they are both true. Gets ba, class?
Yes po.
Okay. Pero bakit dito 0 and 0, 0 rin, no? Pagdating sa 0 at 0, hindi siya pwedeng maging 1, no? Kasi 1 ang ating process para masabi nating ang 1 ang representation ng true, no? Kaya ito ay kahit 0 siya pareho, hindi siya pwedeng maging 1, no? Kasi this is a false. So pag false and false, pagdating sa end, that will be 0. Okay? So, magtataka kayo, bakit ma'am naging 4 po ang value ng binary? Siyempre, pag i-interpret mo tong 0, 100 dun sa ating binary, naman sa taas na, no? So, 4 ang sagot niya, no? Base doon sa ating computation ng true and false dito sa ating truth table, no? So, naintindihan to ha? Maliwanag? Gets? Gets po? Respond naman kayo.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes
okay
po,
na yan. Okay na yan, no? So, that is the AND operator ng Bitwise. Okay, yung isa, teka, ano yung ating next? Yung OR operator. Okay. Okay. Ayan. Ayan. So, dito lang sa OR, madali lang ito, no? Okay, ito naman yung OR. Okay. So, 'di ba sa OR, yung isa lang ang maging true, okay na siya. No? Isa lang. Okay? Okay na yun, walang problema. Magiging true na yan, no? Kaya pansin nyo, dito sa ating computation, 1, which is true, and then yung 0, which is false. Okay, dahil may isa lang, no? May isa lang, okay, true na siya, no? So, hindi siya ganun kahigpit katulad ni AND na operator. Kaya ito, 1 at saka 0, 1 pa rin siya. Kasi meron siyang isang true. And then you have 1 and 1, of course, parehong true, ang output niya na ay 1. And then 0, 0, still 0 yan, no? Kasi 0 is the representation of false. Okay? Dali lang yan, ha? Okay, gets ba yung OR? Okay na yon? Respond po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, ayan. So, okay na yung OR natin, no? Tandaan lang natin yung mga rules na yan. Hindi siya mahirap pang, hindi siya mahirap intindihin. Okay, this is the NOT operator, which is unary. Ang simple lang nito dahil isa lang ang ano nito, ang nire-represent, no? So, yung ating 7, dahil isa lang naman yung ating binary na binibigyan ng interpretation, no? So, kaya nga unary, no? Si 7, yung binary ano niya is 0, 1, 1. Now, i-interpret natin ngayon yan base dun sa ating use ng not operator, no? Ayan. So, ano mangyayari dyan, no? Okay. So, kung 1 yan, okay, sabi dito, the not is a unary operator. Its job is to complement each bit 1 by 1. The result not is 0 when the bit is 1 and 1 when the bit is 0. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? No? Ni-reverse niya lang, no? So, yung not, nire-reverse niya, no? So, dahil iisa lang naman yung binary ini-interpret mo, pag ginamitan mo ng not operator, i-reverse niya yung value ng binary na yan, no? So, ito yung binary ni 7, no? So, yung 1, naging 0. Yung 1, naging 0 uli. Yung isang 1, naging 0. And then, yung 0, naging 1. Okay, ma'am, bakit po ganon? Eh, yun nga kasi, yun ang rules ni not operator, no? Kung ang value ay 0, okay, yung bit na 1, okay, nagiging, kung ang value niya ay 0, dun sa binary, nagiging 1, at yung 1, nagiging 0. So, yung ganun lang yung ano niya, no? Ganun lang yung not operator. Okay? Ganun lang siya kasimple. Walang problema. Ang dali-dali lang nun, no? Okay. Ayan. So, dito man tayo sa logical operators, no? Balikan natin yung ating explanation, no, ng logical operators. Okay. Ang pinagkaiba lang nito, class, dito sa bitwise, nakita nyo dun sa harapan, isa lang yung gamit natin na end. Isa lang, no? Etong ito sa baba, ito yung logical operator, no? Logical end. Ito yung bitwise end. Ito sa taas, no? Ito ang logical end, no? So, dalawa siya, no? Now, ano raw yung result? Sabi niya yung result dito. Nasaan yung result? Pinakita niya sa result eh. Okay. Nasaan yung result? Wait. Maaga masyado. Wala pa rin. Di pa rin yan yung results. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So, dito sa bitwise, no? Anong ginawa? Ano nga yung ginagawa pagka-end, no? So, C1 at saka C2, no? So, titingnan mo yung value ni 1. Okay. So, C1 I think is 001, no? Okay. 2 binary. Okay. So, 1. Convert. Okay. So, 001, yung binary. Tapos, ano yung isa? 2. No? 2. Teka. 2. So, 2. Convert. Okay, ayan. Dito tayong bibilang, no? Okay. So, balik tayo dito. So, tama yung ano niya. Ayan, 00 at saka 001. Okay, i-plot natin. Teka ha, magbubukas lang ako ng ano, ng ating magandang gawin yun. Okay, doon ko gagawin sa ano, sa teka. Gagawin ko siya sa paint para mas madali. Ayan. Entire screen. Okay. Naalala nyo naman, kakadiscuss lang natin yung ano, no? Admit natin tong late na to. Archer! Bakit ngayon ka lang, Archer? Archer. Okay. Ayan. Di ko na ulitin, Archer, ha?
Apo, habol na lang po ako.
Mabol ka, ha? Okay, new. Okay, save. Untitled. Ito yung gagawin nyo mamaya. Nakita nyo na tuloy. Andali. Test. Okay, save. Okay. Ayan. So, nakikita nyo ba yung aking paint? Nakikita nyo ba yung aking paint, class?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. Lalakihan ko na nga dito. Ayan. So, ano nga yung ating, magsusulat tayo ngayon. Yung ating number. Paano ba magano? Ayan. Yung 1. So, yung x is equal to galing magsulat ni ma'am. Hindi. Huwag na yung pangit. Huwag na lang natin, yan. Ito. Ayan. Ayan. Tapos, lakihan natin yung font. Teka. Ayan. Okay. So, ang x, ang value niya ay, ano nga? 1. Tapos, balikan nga natin yung ating So, ang ginagawa ko muna ngayon ay yung bitwise, no? X and Y. Tapos yung Y2. Okay. Nasaan na yung paint? Ayan. Yung Y is equal to 2. So, since bitwise tayo, ang kailangan natin ay yung binary, no? Binary. No? So, ang binary value niya ay, lagay natin dito. 0, 1, 2, 3, 1. Tama ba? Ito na yung ating picture. Okay. 0, 0, 1 and 0, 0, 10. Ayan. Okay. And then, dito sa baba. Okay. Para tapat, no? 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay. So, tingnan na. Computein natin ngayon yung X. Ano nga yung symbol ng ng end? Bitwise end. End lang, no? Isa lang, diba? Ayan. So, magkakaroon tayo ng equation. So, i-compute natin ngayon. So, tingnan natin yung values nito. Since, dapat kasi mula left to right, may problema lang tayo sa ating Pero, simulan na rin natin pag no? So, ang 0, so we have 2 folds here. So, 0, 0, anong sagot dito?
0 po.
Correct, 0. Ayan. Okay, so kino-compute na natin, ha? And then, again, 0 and 0. Anong value nun?
0 po.
Okay, 0. Okay. Tapos ito, 0 and 1.
0 po. 0 po rin.
0 pa rin. Bakit 0 pa rin? Kasi we're
False
talking
po
of...
yung X.
Okay, kasi strict ang bitwise end. Ayan. Etong 1 at saka 0, ano mangyayari?
0.
0. Ayan. So, paano yung nangyari ngayon, ma'am? 0 po ang nangyari. Ayan. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, babalikan natin. So, naganap na yung sinabi niya dun sa ating eto, may late na naman tayo. Sino to? Ay, nako, Melvin, pasok ng maaga. Okay. Malilito ka dahil pinasukan mo, eh. Okay, ang sabi niya, 'di ba? Ang sabi niya dun sa ating video na walang result dito sa unang bit. Bakit? Kasi ito ay nag-result saan? Sa false. No? Nagets mo? Nagets nyo?
Opo.
Ayun, gets na siya. Okay. So, yon ay nag-result sa false. Ayan. Ayan. Kasi puro 0 siya lahat. No? So, ang output nito ay false. Okay. So, pag false, yan ay 0. Ayan. Okay. So, yun namang ating yung ating logical, no? Logical end. And Y. Okay. Doon sa ating logical end, okay, Andito na yung kanyang explanation, no? So, titingnan mo lang kasi ang niya, kung true, okay, true and true yung condition, anong mangyayari? True, no? So, titingnan mo ngayon yung yung ating condition dito. Okay. So, kinumpute mo, no? Saan ka ngayon magbe-base, no? Titingnan mo yung 1 and 2, no? Ayan, eto siya, 1 and 2. So, bakit siya naging true, no? Okay, paano siya naging true? Okay. Ayan. So, kukumputin natin ngayon yan. Paano naging true? Okay. So, meron tayong condition, no? Yung condition, x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. Okay. Now, paano siya naging true? Ayan. Paano siya naging true? Doon sa ating okay, alis ka dyan. Diyan ka lang. Okay. The result of x and y is 1. Okay. So, dineclare niya na 1, no? So, ibig sabihin, true. Okay. So, paano natin makukompute ngayon yung ating 1 and 2? Now, maganda, i-code natin, no? Okay. Lagay natin sa code. Tapos, tingnan natin kung ganun din ng lalabas. Okay. So, tayo ay meron kaya ito sa babang para hindi na ako magta-type. Bitwise. Meron ba siya? Ay, ito kaya yun. Tinamad si Miss Payne mag-type. Ay, hindi. Wala bang para hindi na ako magta-type. Okay, fine. Okay. So, sige. Mag-type tayo. Wala tayo magagawa eh. Kailangan mag-type eh. Sige. Okay. So, siguro kuha na lang ako open na lang ako ng isang yung ginawa ko sa ibang class. Open logical and okay, yung ating value, okay, dito sa logical end. Okay. Gawin natin x is equal to 1 and then okay, and then yung x and y is equal to 2 and then ayan, okay, print. Lagay natin, delete natin. Yan. Tapos, print f. Okay. Sa ating operator. Both condition are true. Ayan. Tapos, tayo yan. Tanggalin na natin yan. Delete. So, ito ang ating operator. Both conditions are true and ayan, okay. Try nga natin. Ano nangyari? Processing. Okay.
Wala nung x logical and tapos
Okay, sadali
kaya
lang.
kaya nila
Okay. Sobra ang aking sobra ang aking ayun. Ayan. So, tama. So, ayan, sabi niya. So, ito yung ating operator, no? So, nilagay natin para masabi natin na ginawa natin yung equation. So, tama siya, no? Ayan yung ating code. Nilagay ko lang yung code niya dun sa ating eto, no? So, tama yung kanyang nilabas, no? So, true talaga siya, no? So, yun yung way natin para makita natin kung tama yung Nakikita nyo ba to? Nakikita nyo? Kita, class? Kita ba? Nakikita nyo ba yung aking Debsi?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, ayan. So, yun po. So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa, no? Doon sa Bitwise, ang output niya ay false. Pero pag dito sa ating logical operator, ang output niya ay true. Okay. Okay, nagets? Nagets po?
Yes po. Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, maliwanag yan ha. Kasi magko-code tayo after na, no? Diretso ko lang yung part 2 ni Kuya, ha? Sige. Okay. So, tuloy natin yung part 2 ni Kuya.
Operator and logical AND operator. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.
Okay.
Look perfect.
Let's continue our discussion on bitwise operators in C. In this lecture, we will cover left shift operator. We will also talk about some important points related to left shift operator. Let's get started. What is left shift operator? This is how a left shift operator looks like. Left shift operator is a binary operator, therefore it requires two operands. This is the first operand and this is the second operand. First operand is the one whose bits get left shifted. Second operand is the one which decides the number of places to shift the bits. In order to understand the concept of left shift operator in detail, we will first cover some important points, and meanwhile we will also understand how left shift operator works. Let's get into some important points related to left shift operator. When bits are shifted left, then trailing positions are filled with zeros. Please note down this point. Let's consider one example to better understand this concept. In this example, I chose a variable and assigned it value 3. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to shift this whole number by one position towards left using this left shift operator available over here. As this data type is character, therefore 3 in 8 bits representation looks like this. Now, in order to understand what would be the output of this particular program, we first need to understand how left shift operator works. This is the left operand of this left shift operator and this is right operand of this left shift operator. Value of variable is 3 and the binary representation of this value is equals to 00000011. Now what we will do? We know this thing that right operand is the one which decides the number of places to shift the bits towards left. Here the value is 1. Therefore, it will left shift the bits of this number by one position, right? So what would be the result? After left shift, result looks like this. This whole binary number will get shifted towards left by one position. As this whole number will get shifted towards left, this bit get truncated. After that, this bit will shift towards this position. 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 This bit towards this position. This bit towards this position. And finally, this bit will shift towards this position. This simply means that now this place is vacant. Isn't that so? This is how it looks like. Now what is going to get filled over here? This trailing position will get filled with 0. Therefore the final result we got is equals to 6. Isn't that so? Because 6 is the decimal representation of this particular binary representation. So the final output of this particular program is 6. Now let's try to understand the second most important point about left shift operator. Left shifting is equivalent to multiplication by 2 raised to the power right operand. Please note down this point. Left shifting is equivalent to multiplication by 2 raised to the power right operand. Let's consider the example which we already learned in the previous point. Here variable contains value 3 and we are trying to shift the bits of this value towards left by 1 position. We know the output of this is 6. But how? Simply 3 is multiplied by 2 raised to the power 1. 1 is our right operand, isn't that so? And left operand is 3. 3 is simply multiplied by 2 raised to the power right operand, which is 1. 3 into 2 is equals to 6 and that is our output. Let's consider one more example. Here the value again is 3 and in this case we are trying to shift the bits of the value 3 by 4 positions towards left. In this case 3 is multiplied by 2 raised to the power 4 because 4 is our right operand. 2 raised to the power 4 is equals to 16 and 16 multiplied with 3 is equals to 48. Therefore the final result of this particular operation is 48. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.
Okay. Okay, balikan natin. So, ayan. So, meron tayo ditong left shift operator, no? Ang tatandaan natin yung first operand, no? Whose bits get left shifted, no? And then the second operand, which decide how many number of places, no? So, yung second operand, siya yung nagde-decide kung ilang beses siya ma-shift. Okay. Madali lang yan, no? Okay. Huwag malilito. Okay. Alright. So, ito yung sample niya, no? Yung variable 3. Ang variable na ay 3. And then, ano yung binary niya? That's 00011. Ayan, no? So, ipiprint yung variable na 1 if it is okay. Ayan. Now, let's look at the output, no? Okay. Ayan, yung ating representation. Ayan. Para yung dulo. Okay. Ayan. Okay. So, anong value to? Anong yung 001? Okay. Tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot niya, no? Binary. Kung 6 siya talaga, no? 0, 1, 1, 0. Convert to decimal. Nabigay ko na tong link na to, no, sa inyo. Tama ba? 0, 0. 0, 1, 1, 0. Tama ba? Naibigay ko na. Yung ano, etong link na to, nabigay ko na sa inyo sa ano, sa GC. Di pa? Di pa?
Bigay na, tama.
Bigay ko na. Anyway, ilagay ko na lang uli. Ang naalala ko nga, nabigay ko na to. Alright, hindi ko pa nakita. Ayan. Okay. So, magagamit niyo yan doon sa Bitwise, no? Okay, convert natin. So, 6, no? So, tama yung output niya, no? 6. So, paano siya, no? So, tatandaan natin, yung naandun sa kabila, which is yung 3, no? Siya yung, ang magde-decide ay yung nasa side, no? Sa kabilang side, no? Which is yung 1, no? Sa kung ilang beses, no? So, yung second, yung operand, which is yung 1, Siya yung magde-decide kung ilang beses siyang mag-shift to the left, no? So, si 3 yung ating, isi-shift, no? So, lipat lang siya, no? Lilipat lang, no? Mag-hop lang siya, no? Etong example ni Kuya, medyo pinahirapan tayo, ginawa niyang 8-bit, pero actually, ito lang, yung 4 lang, pwede na eh. Wala ka naman kasing makukuha dyan, ano? Unless, yung talagang ini-interpret mo ay marami, no? So, siguro gusto niya lang very exact, kaya ginawa niyang 8-bit. Pero, dito pa lang sa ating binary, okay na yan eh. Kasi yun yung ating ini-interpret, no? Okay, so, ni-move mo siya. So, dito magiging vacant to. Okay, so yung 1, minove mo, nilipat mo dito. Ayan, nalipat siya doon, nalipat dito, nalipat, no? So, ano mangyayari doon sa isang space, no? Ang mangyayari doon, magpipill in ng 0. So, ganun lang siya, no? Nililipat niya lang yung next na number kung ano yung naandun, no? Minumove niya lang, no? Tapos, yung unahan, na bakante siya, ang ipipill in ay 0. Now, once you have this value, tingnan mo ngayon kung anong value niya, no? Doon sa binary, yung 001, that is 6. Okay. So, ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay. And then, you have the, yung left shifting is equivalent to multiplication, by 2 to the right operand. Ayan. Okay. So, doon tayo sa example, no? Okay. Dito sa example natin, ang value ang variable na 3, no? So, yung first operand natin na 1, okay? Doon sa output niya ay, ayan, 3 times 2. Remember, dito sa ating 2, no? Times 1, dahil yung ating operand dito ay 1, no? So, 2, isa lang naman ito, no? 2 times 3, 6. Dito sa kabila, so ilang beses mong i-compute mo yung 2, no? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, that is 8, correct, no? 8. 8 times 2, 16. 16 times 3, that's 48. Gets ba, class?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po.
So, ito yung 4 natin. Siya yung, kasi yung 2 yung ating ginagamit na no? Na, yung ating operand na second operand, yan yung magiging power natin dun sa 2, no? So, ganun lang siya kasimple, no? Dun sa ating left shifting with 2 to the right operand, no? Okay. So, yun lang yung tatandaan natin. Kung ano yung operand na dun sa ating variable, no? Ayan. So, siya yung nandun sa taas. Siya yung power, no? Katulad nito, dito sa 4, siya yung power, no? Which is 4. Okay? Yan. No? Ganun lang kasimple yan, no? Di masyadong mahirap. Okay. So, we go to the next one. Saan na yan? 3. Okay.
Let's continue our discussion on bitwise operators in C. What is the outline of this lecture? In this lecture, we will cover right shift operator, and we will also talk about some important points related to right shift operator. Let's get started. What is right shift operator? Right shift operator looks like this. It is also a binary operator, therefore it requires 2 operands. The first operand is the one whose bits get right shifted. Second operand is the one which decides number of places to shift the bits. Before understanding the concept of right shift operator, let's try to consider some important points related to this right shift operator. When bits are shifted right, then leading positions are filled with zeros. Please note down this point. In the case of left shift operator, trailing positions are filled with zeros. But in case of right shift operator, leading positions are filled with zeros. For example, we are trying to shift the bits of this value towards right by one position. Now let's try to understand how right shift works in this case. We know the content of this variable is 3 and binary representation of this value is 00000011. Now we know that this particular value, which is 1, is a right operand which decides the number of places to shift the bits towards right. Therefore, the final output is this one only. What right shift operator will do? It will shift the whole binary representation towards right. Therefore, this bit will get truncated and this position will get vacant. According to our point, this vacant position or leading position will now get filled with 0. Therefore, the final output is 1, as this is the binary representation of this value 1. Therefore, the final output of this particular program is 1. Now let's talk about the second most important point in this lecture. Right shifting is equivalent to division by 2 raised to the power right operand. In case of left shift operator, left shifting is equivalent to multiplication by 2 raised to the power right operand. If you remember that point already that we talked about in the previous lecture. Here right shifting is equivalent to division by 2 raised to the power right operand. Let's consider one example. According to our previous example, the output finally we got is equals to 1. But how do we get this output? We simply divide 3 by 2 raised to the power 1. 1 is the right operand of this right shift operator. 3 divided by 2 is equals to 1.5. After eliminating the decimal point, answer is finally 1. Let's consider another example. Here in this example, I am assigning 32 to this variable. Apart from that, what I am going to do here is I am going to shift the bits of this value towards right by 4 positions. So what would be the final output? 32 simply get divided by 2 raised to the power 4. 4 is the right operand, therefore 2 raised to the power right operand is equal to 2 raised to the power 4. Therefore 32 divided by 2 raised to the power 4, which is 32 divided by 16, is equals to 2, and this will be our output. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.
Okay, so yun, simple lang siya, no? Dito sa right shift operator, siya lang yung reverse nung left shift, no? Okay, dito tayo sa ating example, no? Ayan. So, na-move, no? From the left. Okay. So, dito tayo tumingin. Ito yung ating example ng variable 3, no? Ang value niya ay 0011. So, dahil from right, no? Nag-move siya, nag-add siya ng 0. So, na-truncate siya, no? Ayan. So, yung 1 na-push siya, no? Na-push siya papunta sa right, no? Ayan. So, nag-add ka ng 0, no? Kaya ngayon ito, anong value niya, no? 1. That is 1, no? Okay. So, yun yung naging sagot niya, no? Ayan. So, ang symbol natin dito ay yung dalawang greater than, no? Ayan. Mamaya may kita nyo pagdating sa pagko-code, no? May application. And then, okay. And then, itong isa, no? So, this is dun sa ating, ang operand na 2, no? Sorry, hindi pala operand. Yung 2 na ang gamit natin dito is division, no? So, yung operand, kung kung saan siya, yung second operand, siya ngayon yung power, no? Na i-divide, no? Okay. And then, dito rin sa 4 din yun, no? So, yung ating computation dito, okay, yung ating output, dito sa taas, tamad lang akong mag-compute. Ano yung value niya? Ano yung sabing value niya? Okay, 32. Ayan. Okay. 3. 3 at saka 32. Ayan. Okay. So, ganun lang siya, no? Okay. So, diretso ko na. Ito na yung last. Next. Okay.
This is the last lecture in the series of Bitwise Operators in C. Now what we will study in this lecture?
XOR.
We are going to talk about Bitwise Xor Operator. We will see one example related to Bitwise Xor Operator to help cement the concept. Apart from that, we will also consider one homework problem related to XOR Operator. Now let's try to understand what is Bitwise Xor Operator. But before understanding the concept of XOR Operator in details, we first try to understand what is inclusive OR operator, because this is the best way to understand the concept of XOR operator. According to inclusive OR operator, when either A is 1 or B is 1 or both are 1, then the output is 1. Suppose A and B are representing one bit of information, then either A is 1 or B is 1. Output is simply 1, but when both of them are 1, then also the output is 1. Isn't this truth table looks like a truth table for OR operator? That is what we need to know. OR operator and inclusive OR operator both are one and the same thing. Inclusive OR operator is the second name of OR operator. Now let's try to understand the concept of exclusive OR operator. Here in this case, when either A is 1 or B is 1, then the output is 1. There is no problem. But when both A and B are 1, then the output is 0. Please note down this point. That is why it is called exclusive OR operator, because it is excluding the both combination. That is, when both bits are 1, then the output is 0 and not 1. Now this operator is called inclusive OR operator because it is including the both combination. That is, when both bits are 1, then the output is 1. This is the only difference we need to note down. Apart from that, XOR get its name from exclusive OR, taking X from here and OR from here. Okay, now let's consider one example to better understand the concept of Bitwise Xor Operator. Here in this example, we have two values 7 and 4 and their 4 bits binary representations. When we are having both bits as 1, then the output would be 0, or when both bits are 0, then also the output is 0, otherwise the output is simply 1. Right? Therefore the final output is 0011, which is equal to 3 in decimal representation. Therefore 7 XOR 4 is equals to 3. Now let's consider one homework problem. What is the output of the following program snippet? Here, value of A is 4 and value of B is 3. In the first line, we are performing XOR between A and B and storing its result in A. After that, we are performing XOR between A and B again and storing its result in B. And then finally, we are performing XOR between A and B again and storing its result again in A. And finally, with the help of this printf function, we are trying to print after XOR A is equals to %D and B is equals to %D. As these are the placeholders, they are getting replaced by the values of the variables A and B finally. So here we are trying to print the values of A and B. Now what is the output of this program? It is the homework question and you need to understand this problem on your own. It is a very simple problem. On the other hand, the concept behind this problem is very important. Try to evaluate the concept on your own. Please don't take help of the compiler. Purpose of this homework problem is not only to produce the output of the program, but also to understand the concept behind the problem. You can always post your answer in the comment section below. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture.
Okay. So, dito sa XOR, tatandaan lang natin yung pinagkaiba nung ano, no? Meron tayong, 'di ba, pagka OR, medyo hindi siya sensitive. Dito lang sa XOR, meron tayong inclusive OR at saka exclusive OR, no? So, pagdating sa inclusive OR, hindi siya masyadong strict. Pansin nyo, no? Katulad nito, yung value niya, puro 1, no? Kasi, isa lang yung true. Okay? Wala siyang problema, no? Magiging true siya lahat. Okay, so, yan sa inclusive, walang masyadong problema dyan. Dito tayo sa exclusive. So, sabi dito, katulad nito, no? Exclusive OR, no? Ibig sabihin, ini-exclude niya. Meron siyang ini-exclude. So, anong ini-exclude niya? Yung both, yung pareho, no? Okay. Ayan. Katulad nung doon sa A, XOR, B, yung dalawa, no? So, meron dyang dalawang 1, pero siniro pa rin niya, no? Kasi nag-exclude siya. Okay. Yung sa aray ko. Ow. Okay. The output, okay, tandaan lang natin, no? Okay. When both A and B are 1, then the output is 0. Okay. Basta yung A and B, meron siyang 1, ang output is 0. No? Kaya tingnan nyo yung ating output. Pagka meron siyang 1, okay, ang output niya ay 0, no? Aray naku. Itatali na naman kita eh. Kulit-kulit mo. Oh, ayan. Now, para ma-appreciate natin yung sinasabi niya, i-code natin ito, no? Para ma-gets natin, no? So, syempre, magta-type daw ako. Teka. Ano nga ito? Okay. Ang ganda lang yan. Madali lang yan eh. Print screen. Ayan. Okay. Para makita natin yung ayan. Okay. Ano ko ito. Ayan. Ayan. Para madaling mag-type. Nasa ibabaw. Tamad talaga si Miss Payne. Ayan. Okay. Int main. Tapos, yung integer natin, A. A is, ano ngayon? Ayan. A4 equal to 4 equal to 4. Sino bang mabilis mag-type dyan? Pwede bang unahan nyo na ako? Dash B is equal to, ano nga yun? Equal to 3. Okay. Teka lang. B is equal to 3. Tapos, ano ba yung semicolon? Tama. And then, semicolon. Okay. Tapos, A is equal to, okay. A is equal to, nakalagay? A. And then, yung ating XOR. Nakita nyo ba kung saan yung XOR? Nasaan yung symbol ng XOR? Okay.
Sa 6 po.
Nasa 6. A, tapos B. And then, ayan. And then, ano yung next? B. A, B. Okay, B dito. Tapos A uli, A Tapos, nasa 6. And then, B. Pareho lang, di ba? Okay. Tapos, A uli. Tapos, B. Okay. A. Tapos, A. Tapos, B. Tapos, okay. Ayan. Makakount na natin. Tapos, print FXOR. Teka, ayusin lang natin. Okay, dito sa taas. Dito. Ayan. Print. After XOR. Print after XOR. After XOR, comma A, comma A is equal to %D. A is equal to %D and B equal to %D equal to %D, tapos sana %D comma sorry, teka lang, sandali. Okay, A and B. Okay, nag-alboroto siya. A and B. Okay, and then return. Delete. Okay, and then return. Okay, return 0. Return 0. Return 0. Hoy! Hoy, huwag kang palit dyan. Makulit. Okay, run natin. Ano kaya ang output nito? Okay, compile and run. So, ito yung lumitaw. Wait lang, hindi ako nakashare, no? Nakashare ba ako? Kla?
Opo.
Nakashare pala ako, sorry. So, ito yung, nakita niyo yung output. Ayan. So, ang lumabas is, after XOR, A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 4. Ayan. So, yan yung ating XOR, no? Andyan yung ating inclusive. Okay, yung A is equal to 3 at saka yung B is equal to 4. Yan yung value natin dun sa exclusive. Uy! Uy! Okay. Now, tayo ay magsasample, no? Okay. So, okay. So, ako pa rin ay nakaano, no? Ayan. Dito tayo, no? Gamitin natin, i-sample natin yung exercise natin, no? Okay. So, ilalagay ko tong sa ating GC. Sa GC nyo?
Ay, ma'am, tanong lang po.
Yes.
Doon sa code po, parang parehas na yung A tsaka B.
Saan?
Doon sa code po. Pwede po patingin ulit ng code.
Okay.
Bakit magkaiba pa rin yung naging answer?
Bakit magkaiba yung naging answer? Kasi nga, doon po to sa ating exclusive at saka doon sa ating inclusive. Yun.
Saan po yung nag-i-indicate, ma'am, ng kung aling or yung gagamitin dyan?
Dito, kasi binalikan niya, no? Nagbalik siya. No? Pansin nyo, dito sa, parang inulit niya lang 'di ba? Okay. Nakita nyo? So, meron na dito, tas meron pa dito, no? So, inulit niya, para magkaroon siya ng bagong value. Yun yung kinuha niya para doon sa XOR na exclusive, no? Kasi doon sa una,
To evaluate the concept on your own.
Okay.
Please don't take help of the compiler. Purpose of this
yun yung nag-hint na siya no? Sinabi niya dito na sige, i-ano nyo yan para makita nyo yung ating pagkakaiba nung inclusive na XOR at saka exclusive na XOR, no? So yun yung way niya para maipakita niya yung pagkakaiba nung dalawa. Kaya yung value dito nung nag-output tayo, magkaiba siya talaga. Kasi ito palang DebC, no? Ayan. Kaya nga ginawa ko rin para maipakita ko rin sa inyo na doon sa ating XOR, makita nyo yung difference ng inclusive at saka exclusive. Okay. Okay, so application na tayo ha. Okay, doon tayo ngayon. Nakashare pa rin ako, class? Nakikita nyo pa rin yung Okay,
Opo.
so nilagay ko sa GC natin itong mga exercise, no? Para pwede nyong puntahan. But let's go through one by one para makita nyo kung paano sila nilalagay sa code, no? So, ayan. Ito yon pinapakita ko sa inyo, no? So, let's go through one by one, no? Ayan, no? Ito yung bitwise end. Okay. So, ito yung ating code, no? Ito yung ating input, no? Ang input ng user, yung variable na A at saka 5. Okay? And then, yung B, ang variable na B, ang value niya ay 15. Now, ito yung ating expected output after performing bitwise end operation, no? Ayan. So, alam nyo naman yung ating procedure, 'di ba? Naalala nyo yung ating end, no? Ayan, no? Ito yung ating explanation, no? You go through, no? Tapos, ito yung ating code para sa bitwise. Para dito sa problem na to, no? Ayan. Okay. Okay. Ayan. So, ito yung ating encode, no? Okay. Encode natin para makita natin yung ating application ng end. Copy lang natin. Okay. Okay. Control A. B. Okay. Close ko lang ito. Okay. And then, i-run natin. Sorry. Nangyari. At namula. Void main. Wala namang Ayan. Bakit naka-XOR pa rin to? Meron ako hindi tinanggal. Delete. Ayun. Ayun. Tama ba? Yan ba yung aking kinopya? Teka lang. Bakit parang mali yung aking kinokopya? After performing. Ayan, okay. Tama naman pala yung aking kinokopya. Ayan. Copy. Okay, ulit. Alright. Void. Error. Must return integer. Okay. So, tanggalin natin ito. Okay. Ikaw ba yun? Hindi, ikaw yan. Sino nag-ano? Ayan, alas 6 na. Grabe, hindi ako natapos. Grabe, hindi ko natapos. Okay. So, eto yung ating unang practice. Gano oras tayo, class? 6 o'clock, no? Tama ba?
6 o'clock.
Hehehe. Alas 6 na. Okay.
Ayun na po.
Time na nga. Ako, nagpaalala na yung ating timekeeper. Ayan. Okay. So, okay, class. Total, pinakita ko naman sa inyo yung ano, nilagay ko doon sa ano natin, yung ating practice. Ito sana yung ipapagawa ko sa inyo eh. Pero, okay, fine. Sige. Wala na akong magagawa. Inabot na tayo ng oras. Ay, naku. Meron pa akong istorbo dito na nangungulit. O, diba? O, okay, fine. O, sige, diyan ka. Diyan ka! Huwag ka makulit. Kulit ba naman? Ayan. So, that is yung ating end. Sino yung nagbe-message kay Miss Payne? Miss Andino. Ayan. So, I'd like you to, to go through this, ito yung sa OR. Ayan, Okay, meron tayong program dito. Gusto ko sanang pasadahan to lahat. Nangyari medyo napahaba yung ating Tapos, meron akong papagawa. Nako, wala nang mangyayari. Meron pa akong makulit dito nakasama. Okay. O siya, pwede bang gawin nyo na lang ito on your own? Yung ating para mapag-practicean nyo, yung ating Bitwise. Ayan, nilagay ko yung yung ating practice na 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 link dyan sa sa GC. Malapit na akong matapos, wag kang makulit. Yung aking asong makulit, diyan ka nga sa baba. Ayan, diyan ka sa baba, kulit mo eh. Okay. So, since tayo ay time na, wala na akong magagawa dahil mag-aalas 6 na, But late yung aking relo. Nakalagay dito, meron pa akong 7 minutes. Okay. Susulitin ko na yung aking computer, yung aking computer time, Total, may 7 minutes pa ako. Ayan. Okay. So, gawin natin itong code ng OR. Ayan. No. Bakit ka nagkakaganyan? Ito. Kopyahin lang natin to. Ayan. Hilig gumamit nitong ng void. Nag-error tuloy doon sa Copy. Ay, Control A. Delete. Ayan. Tingin ko maglolo ko to. Ayaw talaga. Ayaw niya ng void. Okay. Sige, the integer. Okay. Ayan. Output is 16. Tingnan nga natin kung tama yung niya. Okay. 16 ang output. 15, sorry. 15 pala. Ayan, 15. Tama naman siya, 15. Okay, 15. Okay, meron pa akong 5 minutes. Ayan, that is OR. Tapos, yung XOR, ayan. Try natin tong XOR. So, ito yung mga values niya. A yung variable, 13. Tapos, B is 24. 21 daw yung output. Ayan. Naka-bitwise. Okay. Maganda to kasi merong explanation. Mas lalo nyong maiintindihan yung if you will go through dun sa ating Okay. Close ko lang ito. Bitwise or tapos ito tayo sa dev C, Control A, delete. Ayan, sige nga, 15, raw ang sagot? 21. Bakit mali yung output niya? luma pa rin to. Okay. Nating int. Nag-error pagka ayun, 21. Ayan, 21 yung value. Nakashare pa rin ako, class?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes po, ma'am.
So, binabago. Kasi nakalagay ditong code, puro void. So, pagka ginagawa niyang void, ayaw lumito yung tamang output.
Ma'am, hindi pa po nare-receive namin yung yung sinend nyo pong link.
Ay, wala.
Wala pa po dun sa GC.
Teka lang, ano nangyari? Bakit nag-ano?
Ito
Ay!
nag-send out.
May ano siya. May exclamation mark. Okay, sige, ganito. Isi-save ko siya sa anong kulit na tong ano. Inaano ko, ini-edit ako ni ano ni Facebook. Ayaw niya yung link. Pumapasok sa security. Teka ha. Eto. Lalagay ko sa ano, sa notepad. Ayan. Tapos isi-save ko to. Save as Bitwise. Okay. Save. Yes. Ayan. Tapos i-attach ko. Kulit lang eh. Ayaw niyang anuhin eh. Bakit? Nakita nyo dito sa ano, ayan may nakalagay na ano, na nut. Yung kulay pula. Okay. Mag-aano ko dito ng attach na lang ako. So, nilagay ko siya as notepad. Ayan. Doon nyo na lang siya i-click. Try nyo nga kung mabubuksan nyo yung isinend ko. For some reason, will somebody, kulit lang eh, ayaw mag-ano. Ay, hindi rin siya ma-remove. Okay, fine. Okay. Sinong pwedeng, i-click nyo nga kung gumagana yung link on your own. Kasi dito ayaw mag-send.
Na-open po siya, ma'am.
Na-open.
By notepad po.
Ayan, sa notepad. Wala lang eh, ang kulit eh. Hindi, ayan nakalagay nakanat. Basta nakakainis tong Facebook. Ayaw akong anuhin. Okay. Ayan. Last. Yung complement. Ayan. So, ano nga yung process natin pagka yung complement? I-reverse niya lang, no? Ayan. Okay. So, ito yung ating code. Sa baba. Okay. Buti sinabi nyo. Kasi baka diretso ako. Hindi naman nyo pala nare-receive. Salamat for telling me. Ayan. Control A. Delete natin. Ayan. Namumula agad. Okay, fine. Gawin natin int. Ayan. Tapos run natin. Ayun. 26. Okay. Sabi dito, para lang naintindihan natin, 230. Pero bakit yung lumitaw ay, anong ating output? Close. Close. Ulitin natin yung output. Sabi dito, ang output ay 26. So, yan, may explanation. Kasi, ang ine-expect natin na sagot ay 230. So, meron siyang 2's complement. Ayan, pumasok siya sa 2's complement. No? Kaya, naging 26. Ayan. So, yun yung explanation niya. Okay. So, please go through the example. Hindi na tayo nakapag-practice mag-code. So, on your own, practicing nyo yung code nung ating Bitwise dito sa pinadala kong link para makita nyo yung application nung Bitwise Operators, yung 7, no? Ayan. So, ito nakuha nyo to, nandyan yan. I think nandyan yan eh. Ayan, okay. Wala siyang problema, no? Yung rapid tables lumitaw, no? Ayan. So, gamitin nyo yan as you go along. Hindi lang natin natapos. So, probably next year, kung magkikita-kita tayo next year, magpa-practice tayo ng Bitwise Operator, no? I-apply natin siya ng 1-off, yung 7. Okay. So, yun lamang po, class. Wala na akong natapos ko naman yung ating discussion. Hindi nga lang tayo nakapag-application. Pero gagawin natin yung application next year. So, paano ba yan, no? Kita-kits tayo next year. Ayan. I-stop presenting ko na. At tayo ay kailangan ko lang yung ating ma'am, hindi po na-send yung sa GC yung link. Ayan. Okay. Na-solve na natin yung problema na yan. Right. Oh, Jolaine.
Po.
Oh.
Ano po yun?
Happy New Year na.
Happy New Year din po. Merry Christmas po.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. O, kukunan ko na kayo ng screenshot. So, yung ating mga beautiful faces, yung ating mga naggagwapuhan at naggagandahan mga mukha, ayan. Ngiting panalo at, hindi, mali, ngiting Pasko, ayun. Ngiting Pasko at saka ngiting New Year. Oy, Jalaine, yung video mo. Christina Manuzon. Ayan. Si Victor. John Victor de Jack. Okay. Mariton. Gabriel. Nasaan ka na? Saklot. Video mo. Okay. Jalaine, wala ka ba sa sa screen mo at hindi ka makapagbago ng
Hindi po ma'am, wala po akong camera sa PC.
wala. Okay. O, sige. O, sige. Next time, paltan mo na lang ng actual face mo yan, ha? Para Okay.
Sige po.
Sige. O, ngiting panalo na, ha? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Teka, si JB. Naka-slow motion. JB, bakit naka-slow motion yung video mo? Ayan. Okay. Okay. O, ngiting panalo. 1, 2, 3. Ayun. 1, 2, 3. Okay. O, sige. Salamat. Hinarangan mo yung mukha mo. O talaga, Yuri. Okay. So, may question pa ba kayo bago tayo maghiwa-hiwalay? At Pasko na. Pasko na.
Wala po, ma'am.
Happy Holidays! Happy Holidays! Wala ba kayong papasko sa akin?
Happy holidays po.
Happy Holidays!
Happy Holidays po. Merry Christmas po.
Dami
Ang sana
natin.
magdagdagan yung aso.
Dami
Christmas
natin
po.
natapos. Oo. Ayan. Merry Christmas ng Okay, class. So, yun lamang po. Unless meron pa tayong kailangan i-clarify, pwede na tayo mag-iwa-hiwalay. Ayan. Happy Holidays tayo. Okay.
Bye po, ma'am.
Okay.
Bye ma'am.
Bye po, ma'am.
Happy Holidays.
Bye ma'am, salamat po. Merry Christmas. Bye ma'am.
Christmas.
Bye ma'am. Happy Holidays po.
Okay.
Diyan, ma'am.
O, i-practice niyo yung Bitwise, ha? Sige. Okay. Bye-bye. Ayan, si Yuri. Yuri. Okay. Ending. Happy Holidays. Ang aking video ay aking tatapusin. Ayan, done.